Khosrow Parviz, a name that echoes through the annals of history, resonating with both admiration and sorrow. Known as Parviz, meaning the victorious, his reign was marked by both grandeur and despair, a name whispered in both awe and pity. His story is one of contrasts, a tale of a king who experienced the zenith of power and the nadir of defeat. Was he the last great Sassanian king? His reign, filled with opulence and ambition, saw the Sassanian Empire reach its territorial peak. Yet it was also a time of great turmoil and eventual downfall. Was his reign the empire's last gasp before the storm? The storm of invasions, betrayals, and internal strife that would eventually lead to the empire's collapse. His rule was a prelude to the end of an era. His life was a tapestry of triumph and tragedy, woven with threads of love, war, and betrayal. Khosrow's love for his wife Shirin is legendary, a romance that has inspired countless tales and artworks. Yet, his reign was also marred by relentless warfare and political intrigue. Khosrow's story is a journey through a pivotal era in Persian history, an era where the Sassanian Empire stood as a formidable power, constantly at odds with the Byzantine Empire. His military campaigns were both bold and disastrous, reflecting the duality of his reign. Khosrow was born a prince, heir to a legacy of power stretching back centuries. From a young age he was groomed for leadership, surrounded by the splendor and responsibilities of the royal court. His early years were marked by education in statecraft, military tactics, and the arts. He would ascend to the throne of the Sassanian Empire, a realm locked in an eternal struggle with the Roman world. His coronation was a grand affair, symbolizing the continuity of a powerful dynasty. However, his reign would be defined by the constant conflict with the Byzantine Empire, a rivalry that shaped much of his rule. His life would be a testament to the fleeting nature of glory. Despite his many achievements, Khosrow II's reign ended in betrayal and murder, a stark reminder of the impermanence of power. His story serves as a poignant chapter in the grand narrative of Persian history, illustrating the highs and lows of a king who lived in extraordinary times. Khosrow was born into the royal house of Sasan, his grandfather the mighty Khosrow I. The Sassanians ruled Persia, their empire a beacon of civilization and culture in the east. However, Khosrow's early life was far from the luxury of the palace. His father, Hormizd IV, faced rebellion. Khosrow, still a boy, was forced to flee. He sought refuge in the court of Emperor Maurice of Byzantium, finding himself a pawn in the game of empires. With Byzantine help, Khosrow returned to Persia. He reclaimed his birthright, crushing his enemies and taking the throne. Khosrow II. Parviz, the victorious, was crowned. His reign began a golden age. The Persian Empire flourished. Trade routes hummed with activity. Cities like the magnificent Ctesiphon rose as testaments to Sassanian might. Khosrow's patronage fostered a renaissance of art, literature, and science. He was a scholar king, a patron of learning, and a fierce warrior. Khosrow's life was not without its softer side. His love for Shirin, a beautiful Armenian princess, became legendary. Their romance, immortalized in poetry and song, spoke of a love that transcended borders and differences. Shirin was more than just a beautiful face. Intelligent and strong-willed, she became Khosrow's trusted confidant. She advised him on matters of state, her wisdom a guiding hand in his rule. Their love story, however, was not without its trials. Section 5. Shadow of the Roman Eagle. The peace Khosrow had fought so hard to achieve was shattered. Emperor Maurice, his old benefactor, was overthrown and killed. Khosrow, enraged and feeling betrayed, declared war on Byzantium. The Sassanian army, a force to be reckoned with, marched west. They swept through Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. The great cities of the east fell, one by one, before the Persian onslaught. For a time it seemed as if Khosrow would achieve what no Persian king had done before, the utter destruction of the Roman Empire. Section 6. The tide turns. Khosrow's victories were short-lived. A new emperor, Heraclius, rose in the west. He rallied his forces, pushing back against the Persian tide. The turning point came at Nineveh, an ancient Assyrian city. There, on the dusty plains, the two empires clashed in a battle for the ages. The Sassanians, overconfident and exhausted, were routed. The defeat was a crushing blow to Khosrow's ambitions. Section 7. The Weight of Glory. The war with Byzantium took its toll. Persia, once prosperous, was drained of resources. The people, weary of endless conflict, grew restless. Khosrow, the once victorious king, was now seen as out of touch. His own family, driven by ambition and resentment, turned against him. Khosrow, once surrounded by loyal followers, now found himself isolated and alone. The weight of his past glories seemed to crush him. Section 8. The Fall of the House of Sasan. Khosrow's son, Kavad II, led a rebellion against his father. The tension between father and son had been simmering for years, fueled by political intrigue and personal ambition. Kavad, feeling marginalized and eager to assert his own authority, saw an opportunity to seize power. He gathered his loyal followers and launched a daring coup against the aging monarch. The once mighty king was overthrown and imprisoned. Khosrow II, who had once ruled with an iron fist, now found himself at the mercy of his own son. The betrayal was a bitter pill to swallow for the former king, who had always prided himself on his strength and cunning. His capture marked a dramatic shift in the power dynamics of the Sassanian Empire. In a dark dungeon, stripped of his power and dignity, Khosrow met his end. The once grand and opulent life he had known was replaced by the cold, harsh reality of imprisonment. His cell was a stark contrast to the palaces he had once inhabited, and the isolation weighed heavily on him. The end came quietly, a tragic conclusion to a life that had been filled with both triumph and turmoil. His death, a tragic echo of his early life, marked the beginning of the end for the Sassanian Empire. Khosrow's fall from grace was not just a personal tragedy, but a symbol of the empire's declining fortunes. The once formidable Sassanian state, which had stood as a bastion of power and culture, was now teetering on the brink of collapse. Kavad, seeking to consolidate his power, made peace with Byzantium. He understood that in order to stabilize his rule, he needed to secure his borders and reduce external threats. The peace agreement was a strategic move, aimed at buying time to address the internal issues that plagued the empire. However, this decision was also seen as a sign of weakness by many, further eroding the confidence of his subjects. He returned the territories conquered by his father, a final humiliation for the fallen king. The lands that had been hard-won through years of conflict were now handed back, a stark reminder of the empire's diminished power. This act of concession was meant to foster peace, but instead highlighted the Sassanian Empire's vulnerability and decline. But the empire, weakened by internal strife and economic exhaustion, could not be saved. The once great Sassanian Empire was now a shadow of its former self, beset by problems on all fronts. Economic hardships had drained the state's coffers, and internal conflicts had fractured its unity. The fall of the House of Sasan was not just the end of a dynasty, but the end of an era, marking the final chapter in the long and storied history of the Sassanian Empire. Section 9. Echoes of a Bygone Age, Khosrow II. Parviz's life was a paradox. He was a conqueror, a lover, a patron of the arts, and ultimately, a tragic figure. Born into the Sassanian dynasty, Khosrow's reign marked a period of immense cultural and political significance. His ambitions were vast, and his achievements monumental. Yet, his story is not just one of triumph, but also of downfall. As a patron of the arts, Khosrow II Parviz fostered a golden age of Persian culture. Under his rule, the arts flourished, with magnificent palaces, intricate mosaics, and grand sculptures being created. His court was a hub of intellectual and artistic activity, attracting scholars, poets, and artists from across the empire. The legacy of this cultural renaissance can still be seen in the remnants of Persian art and architecture that have survived through the centuries. However, Khosrow's life was also marked by tragedy. Despite his many accomplishments, his reign ended in turmoil. Betrayed by those he trusted, he was overthrown and ultimately met a tragic end. The image of a fallen king, once revered, and now a symbol of lost glory, serves as a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of power and the vulnerability of even the greatest leaders. His reign, a golden age for Persia, was a time of prosperity and cultural richness. The opulence of his court, the grandeur of his palaces, and the splendor of Persian celebrations during his rule are legendary. Yet this period of prosperity was followed by a swift and brutal fall. The once mighty empire crumbled, leaving behind ruins that speak of a glorious past and a sudden decline. What is his legacy? Is it a cautionary tale of the cyclical nature of power, where empires rise and fall, often due to the same forces that once propelled them to greatness? Or is it a testament to the enduring spirit of Persian civilization which, despite the fall of its empires, continues to influence and inspire? A cautionary tale of the cyclical nature of power, the story of Khosrow Parviz reminds us that history often repeats itself. The rise and fall of empires are part of a larger pattern, where the seeds of decline are often sown during the periods of greatest success. The ruins of ancient Persia stand as silent witnesses to this timeless cycle, or a testament to the enduring spirit of Persian civilization. Despite the fall of the Sassanian Empire, the cultural and intellectual achievements of Khosrow's reign have left an indelible mark on history. The spirit of Persian civilization endures, celebrated by modern Iranians who continue to honor their rich heritage and draw inspiration from their ancestors' achievements. Khosrow's story is a reminder that even the greatest empires are built on foundations of sand, vulnerable to the winds of change. The shifting sands of time can erode the mightiest of structures, leaving behind only memories and ruins. Yet these remnants tell a story of resilience and the enduring human spirit, vulnerable to the winds of change and the ambition of men. The ambitions that once drove Khosrow to greatness also led to his downfall. His story is a testament to the dual nature of ambition, capable of both building and destroying, and the ambition of men. The political intrigues and power struggles that marked Khosrow's reign are a reminder of the complex and often perilous nature of leadership. The ambitions of those around him, combined with his own, ultimately led to his tragic end. What lessons can we draw from his life and apply to our own time? Khosrow Parviz's story offers timeless insights into the nature of power, ambition, and the human condition. As we reflect on his life, we are reminded of the importance of humility, the dangers of unchecked ambition, and the enduring value of cultural and intellectual achievements. His legacy, though marked by tragedy, continues to inspire and teach us valuable lessons for our own time.